stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to right the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Florida Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on June 27, 2021, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media newspaper, The Record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised that this meeting is being taped and will be broadcast on local TV and the district website at a future date. The purpose of this special public meeting is to approve a year-end additions to our capital, maintenance, and reserve accounts. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines the word meeting as any gathering, whether corporal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Could we please have roll call?
Ms. Joe. Here. Ms. Silver.
Here.
Ms. Morrell.
Here.
Ms. Ripley. Here. Ms. Ramba. Mr. Rubino.
Here.
Ms. Saxon. Here. Ms. Colwell.
Here.
Deb Paul.
I don't know, I think we'll have your report after. I'm just gonna make, Keisha has asked me to make an announcement on the board vacancy. So we'd like everyone to know that the Fort Lee Board of Education had a member, Tanya Kang, recently resigned. And so we have a board member vacancy at the current time. There's a notice on the district website. The board is currently accepting letters of interest to fill the vacancy. The individual selected will serve as a member of the Board of Education from the date of appointment through December 31, 2021. Please email letters of interest by no later than Friday, July 23rd to Board Secretary Keisha Taylor at htaylor@flboe.com. And again, that address and the notice concerning the opening and the letters of interest is on the website. Just one point of clarification. I think the person serves the reorg meeting. The person will serve through our next reorg meeting, which is in the first week of January. Dr. Shaw, welcome. Why don't we start with you giving your superintendent's
I'll be more than happy to. Thank you, President Colwell. Good evening, everyone. Although I certainly didn't want my first interim superintendent's report to be guided by controversial matters in our district, it is my hope that my report will give you all a glimpse into my thoughts and reactions during this unsettling time. As you all know, one of the primary purposes of our school district is to ensure the safety and security of all of our students, staff, and parents, and to create an environment where everyone is welcomed and valued. The investigation taking place regarding school principal number 1 has been guided by our district's affirmative action policy and related New Jersey laws, which support our strong belief in the value of individual diversity. Our decision to move forward with an investigation was not about what had occurred with the school number 1's PTA election last week. Our PTAs are governed by their own bylaws and not by district policy or procedures. They are our partners, and we work together to support them in an effort to make each of our schools a better experience for our children. And for that, we remain grateful. While this past week has been very unsettling for School 1's principal, staff, and parents, as well as our Board of Education members and our district as a whole, it is an investigation that we must go through with thoughtfulness and thoroughness. Mrs. Murphy, our Affirmative Action Officer, is conducting this investigation in a very proactive manner and is working judiciously to bring this matter to conclusion in a timely fashion. At the end of a truly unforgettable school year, this investigation is the last thing that we want to happen. So please know, we want closure as much as all of you do, as there is important summer work and preparation for your children that requires our undivided attention. We will update you when our investigation is complete. While we'll not be able to provide you with specifics, we can promise you that the process will be fair and just for all parties. Thank you, President.
Anything else other than for this?
That's all I have. Thank you.
I thank you for that. Do board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda? Have anyone, I'm just trying to get an order of magnitude in terms of public participation. Do you have anyone signed in? We do, 48. So you do have the one, if no board members have any questions. I think we should move to the resolution regarding the capital reserve account. Resolution 1F. Could I have a motion to approve 1F?
Motion. Second.
Motion Rubino, second Morel. We have a roll call, please?
Is that okay to do that? Switch to three motions?
That's what I was advised before we started.
The motion is made by Mr. Rubino, seconded by Ms. Morel. Roll call, Ms. Richter.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Ms. Rombo. Ms. San Silver.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Ms. Sassen.
Yes.
Ms. Cho.
Yes.
Ms. Colbert.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And if there are any members of the public that wish to comment on that particular resolution, you can always reconsider it after. So, okay, so that was the only item of business that we had. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion, Morel, second, Richter, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so first, we're going to proceed with anyone who would like to speak, who is present here tonight in the cafetorium. We will then take questions and comments from those participating remotely. Will you please select the raised hand button in the upper left corner. Our board secretary, Harkeisha Taylor, will recognize each community member in the order of the raised hands by lowering the hand and unmuting the microphone if you are muted. Please then state your name and home address for the record and begin your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So we'll take first, I see Tanya is approaching the podium, so you have the floor.
Is the camera working? Hi, my name is Tanya Byers Kang. I live at 275 Tom Hunter Road, Fort Lee, New Jersey. Hello, my name is Tanya Byers Kang. I live at 275 Tom Hunter Road, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I am the parent of 2 Korean children, and I have a Korean husband. What happened last week at this meeting, while I was sitting there with my mouth duct taped, I could not take it. I made a choice to leave the board, not because I'm hiding or because I did anything wrong. You can go through anything that you want. And not because I don't love every single size, shape, color, shape, anything. I do everything for the children always. But my family must come first. And what happened to me last week was debilitating, to say the least. If you can't hear it in my voice and the shakiness that I have, that's really what I want to say, is that I love everyone in this community. I moved to Fort Lee because of the 70% Asian, because my children are Asian. My husband is Asian. My in-laws are Asian. Every family member that I have in this area is Asian. The rest of my family, they live in Georgia. Okay, that's the total, what makes this place beautiful is we're all together. At one point in time at school number 1, there were over 30 countries represented in school number 1. Never once did I deny any child, any parent, any person that I ever met due to the way they look, even the way they smell, the way they, anything. So what happened last week was absolutely ridiculous, should have never happened, and now because of that, I have stepped back because it's too much for me. But there's always a bigger plan in the world. Now that seat is open, and that seat is available. So I encourage those parents who would like to take that seat to please step up, fill out the form, take the seat, and see how it feels. Thank you.
Contributions to the board, Tanya.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present here that would like to speak? No, so we'll go to the raised hands. Keisha?
Hello, Stephanie. I am promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share a video and your comments. Please state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes for your comment. Stephanie. You're muted, Stephanie.
Stephanie, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Maharis. I'm a Fort Lee parent for over 13 years now. I went back, I was not able to attend last week's meeting. I went back and was in complete shock at what I saw before the board. I saw a principal in school 1 attacked viciously and publicly. I saw members of the PTA come forward and hurl accusations against Tanya, who happens to be one of my neighbors, who I've known for years, without any other member of the board saying anything to defend Tanya, as she sat there and was being accused of being racist while she gave birth to 2 Asian children. And my Asian neighbors and our community in Fort Lee is very accepting and loving of every person, different colors, races, religions, creeds, you name it. So watching what transpired, I was wondering why no board members spoke up in defense of a fellow board member, or Principal Giacomelli, who was instrumental in helping my 2 children with disabilities get proper placement in the Fort Lee district. And it's very concerning to me that this went on and was allowed to continue and go on publicly. And then I heard a survey was sent to the entire school 1 regarding Principal Giacomelli. Well, I didn't receive a survey about my children's principal when I had to pull my child with disabilities out of school this year because of her visual impairment, when people wouldn't stop wearing masks and she couldn't understand what they were saying. I find it highly ridiculous that we're saying we care about all these different people. And I had called IEP services at least 150 times. Nobody could come, nobody could do anything. My daughter, who was almost 100% student, went to a 30% student because she could not see the screen. I would like to get a paperwork regarding the administration of the high school sent out. I find that what was done to Principal Giacomelli is absolute bullying. It's a nightmare if you're on a board, if you're a principal, if you're anything, to be set up this way publicly. And I think and hope that our school district will do better to stand by and defend their teachers and defend their principals and defend their board. This should not be allowed. I don't personally know this woman, Christina Suh. I listened to her whole thing, but I thought we had a whole Korean PTA that was separate from the other PTA in the schools. So I'm just wondering what the confusion is. Are we going to now start 5 or 6 different PTAs? Is there any word on that? Because I thought we had an Asian PTA. Do they run the same way? Anyone? I can't hear, and I don't know why we're wearing cloth masks, but I mean, it's very hard to understand people when they're speaking.
So Stephanie, I can't address everything that you say, but what I would say first is we have what's called a public comment period, time allocated in each meeting. And that's what it's for, public comment. And it's not for us to get, respond to everything or challenge. And it was hard for us to sit here too, because we all come at things with different views. But it's really for us to listen, and we can't comment on a staff member publicly at a meeting.
I understand that, but the next day, Ms. Giacomelli showed up for work and was escorted from her school and left her things. And she's under investigation from a woman who stood up and obviously had something against Ms. Giacomelli from May 14th. And I'm not even friends with Ms. Giacomelli. I just know that she was instrumental with Ms. Amato in getting my children the proper care that they needed years ago within the Fort Lee school system, went out of her way in every way possible for me when I was very annoying at the time. I'm not just this calm, moving individual. I was fighting for my children's rights, and she fought right there alongside with me, as did the superintendent of the school at the time. And I saw what went on at the last meeting, and it left such a bad taste in my mouth. I said, what is going on? How can someone just hurl insults against people publicly like this? And then the next day, the principal is removed from their school? It's shocking. And I mean, would anyone want to work in a district like that?
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Jimmy Law, we're promoting you to panelist. Jimmy Law, we're promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video.
How do I shut this off?
I will. Jimmy, I promoted you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Jimmy?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can.
How you doing? My name is Jimmy Law. I live in Fort Lee for over 15 years. My kids have been going to Fort Lee schools for all the time. I have 3 girls, ranging from 7 to 16, and they all went through school 1. And I've known Ms. Giacomelli for a long time now. And to hear what went on during the meeting last time was very disheartening. Ms. Giacomelli has been the principal for school 1, and she's been very helpful. She's been very instrumental in helping the school get better. And I had no problems with her ever since. As far as Ms. Tanya goes, I've known Tanya for a long time as well. I've been a PTA member as well, and I've helped school with the events. And throughout my whole time, I never had one single feeling that she was racist. So for all this to come up, it's very shocking. In my experience, she's not racist. She's far from racist. And as far as Ms. Giacomelli goes, I feel that it's very unfortunate, and I feel like she has never come across to me as a racist person as well. So I just want to say that I hope this investigation goes smoothly and quickly, because I don't want it to affect the next school year coming up. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy. Joseph, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Joseph?
Hi, my name is Joseph Kinney. I'm a parent of 2 daughters going to school 1. I'm going to say that, yes, Ms. Giacomelli has done some great and wonderful things at school. However, I don't think many of the parents here that have said nice things about Giacomelli has ever encountered the intimidation that Giacomelli has done. I have personally experienced it, and it wasn't pleasant. And it shouldn't have been an unpleasant experience. So with that said, if you have not personally been involved in that situation, I think it's time for everyone to understand there are different perspectives that need to be listened and heard and then considered. What I would like to sort of make a comment on is the forms that we have to continue to fill out about our complaint. I filled out one already. Now I have to fill out another one. I'm kind of curious when the investigation process begins, where I have to have a conversation with someone. And in addition to that, the second form that I was sent, it seems very complicated in a sense where you have to establish what kind of discrimination it is. I don't think that's appropriate. And in addition to that, the consent about revealing personal information. I think it's upon the Board of Ed to know that confidentiality is part of the investigation process. And when it's stated like that, and with a resolution saying that if we don't agree to that consent, then the investigation is null and void. So that whole form is very confusing for me. It does not buy confidence in the way that I'm going to fill it out. So somehow I feel that it needs to be done in a different way. In addition, the form is too complicated for everyone else. I hope there's a different translation for others. I think in addition to that, writing all those things down for other parents might be difficult. And I think a verbal conversation might be better. On a different note, I believe that if you really analyze during the Asian Hate March, School 1 was not listed as a participating member. And there's only 2 individuals who would not take that decision upon themselves to not take part. And that was School 1. And I find it very funny that with all these comments that other people say, how come School 1 was not included in that march? That's all I'm going to say for now. Thank you.
Joseph, let me just say, you should be encouraged to call Jamie Murphy. There is some flexibility on the timing that the form stated, and she's happy to work with the language issues. She is our Affirmative Action Officer. She sits in central office, and if you go on the website, I apologize, I don't have her telephone number, but you could take these issues that you're raising up with her and she'll address them.
Thank you. I know that there's a very short timeline of July 2nd, and I felt that was quite rushed. However, I mean, I'm still going through the process anyways, but I'm concerned for other parents who may not. They're afraid to write it down, speak their voice in a way that makes sense. And I just hope that they have equal part in their process.
So again, Joseph, I know that it came to my attention after the forms went out, the July 2nd date. Please, I encourage you to call Mrs. Murphy. She understands that date, there was a short window. We would like to move the investigation forward, but she told me that it's flexible and that she will work with people. So please give her a call on the issues that you raised. I will. Sure, she will take your call.
Thank you.
Joseph, her phone number is 201-585-4612, extension 7508. Again.
Okay, thank you. I found that I see it in the email that she sent to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
have something to say. Diana found it.
Council, we do have Stephanie again, who would like to speak. I believe it's Stephanie. Stephanie, we typically attempt to limit the comments to 3 minutes, but since there are no others, let's go back. Stephanie. Yes.
I mean, we gave her the 3 minutes, but it's fine, it's fine.
Oh, she hung up.
So I noticed that some other individuals came, and that are present. Shall anyone want to speak? No, okay, I saw that you guys came in. Okay, if there are no other.
There is an additional hand raised, Sanchez. I'm promoting you to panelist, and I would like to ask that those in the remote Zoom world, raise your hands now. Please raise your hands now if you want to be recognized by the floor. Once we've gone through all the hands that are raised, we are going to close the public comment session, okay? You do have the floor, Gleb. You have 3 minutes. Please share your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Gleb Sanchez. I live at 2150 Center Avenue, 3G. So I'm a Fort Lee resident, a longtime Fort Lee resident. And I've actually gone through school number 1 as a kid, middle school and high school. So I went through the whole Fort Lee education system. And I couldn't be more proud because the education was great. However, like now that my son and nephew have entered school number 1, I'm honestly shocked and disappointed. I'm glad an investigation is happening because, and I'm shocked it hasn't happened earlier because I've had numerous encounters with Ms. Giacomelli and I can't call them pleasant. Most of the encounters were quick, rude, and a bit aggressive, but one stands out of them all. My sister and I attended a meeting regarding my nephew. We had sent in a few suggestions on like how to help my nephew in class as he was struggling. As soon as we sat down, we were immediately met with aggression from Ms. Giacomelli, who began to berate us for sending these suggestions, ridiculing us, saying they have tons of kids. Why do you think your kid is so special? And all the while not actually speaking to the points of what our nephew needed. This continued for at least 5 minutes. When I tried to get a word in, I was repeatedly shut down. The message from this was clear. Don't you dare tell us how to do anything. Who do you think you are? That's what we get. Question, and this is what I posted to her and I post to you. Is it not okay for you to have input on your child's education? Should the parents not be involved? And why should parents be berated and bullied? Do they not deserve the mutual respect? Why should they be shut out and silenced? To those critics who say that, well, you need a tough hand in order to run a good school, I say that's BS. There are many successful schools that don't need aggression and intimidation. As I understand, speaking to many others, I'm not the only one with such an experience. I can understand why some parents might be hesitant about speaking out. If nothing is done and things go back to usual in September, they fear that their kids will be retaliated against and that their names will float around and be those that spoke against Mr. Giacomelli. I've seen the forms that were sent out. And as I understand, the forms ask to disclose information and consent to the information being released. As I understand, the investigation will be led by Jamie Murphy, the HR director, which is not a third-party entity. What assurances do you have that it will be impartial, unbiased, and fair? All I ask as a board is, how can you assure parents that if they choose to speak up, they won't be retaliated against, that their names won't be floating around, and that they do not need to fear that their kids will be mistreated? All I ask is that you assure other parents to speak up. Thank you.
Thank you, Gleb.
Thank you, Gleb. Amy Cote, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. State your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Amy? You're muted, Amy.
Hi, this is Amy Kotang. I live on 435 Westfield Place in Fort Lee. I'm a parent in the district, and my role is I am the school 3 president, PTA co-president. I wanted to thank everyone here, both attendees and the Board of Ed, for this difficult conversation that we're having as a community. I am here to request, to make one simple request. I am a scared parent. When I spoke last week, I was one of the first to speak. I have never spoken about racism or being the target of what I perceive as discrimination. By doing that, I put a huge bullseye in my back. I am scared. And the parade of parents who follow me are scared. We're scared of retaliation. We're scared when we walk around town that fingers are pointed to us. We are so happy to hear that there are so many parents who didn't experience what we experienced. We are so joyful for you. But we did not experience what you experienced. And that's what bullying and racism is exactly about. For those who are marginalized, for those who are targeted, for those who are not, you will not know what it's like. It scares the daylight out of us. Understand, I have no political agenda. I have no political aspiration. I have no political affiliation. I have one simple goal: to speak up, because I have held on to this voice for many, many years. When things happen to me, I swallow it. When people tell me what you experienced was not racism, I say, oh, maybe you're right. But I know what I experienced had a ting to it. I am scared. This is not easy. There's no winner at the end of this. But there's a reckoning on both ends, the alleged and the accused. So I ask the community to please allow for the investigation to go on without judgment. Allow it to happen. Allow the facts to percolate. And allow those who are making these allegations the freedom to live without fear. We did not hurl insult, we hurl facts, our feeling. We ask the board to please protect these families because we are scared. We are scared because we were told certain individuals have influences. We don't know what to make of it. We don't know if that means when I walk on the street, do I get hit? We are scared. We put a bullet in the back of our back. And there's nothing political about that. It's sad on both sides. Please understand that. It's a sad situation for both sides. So I ask everyone to please exercise compassion, exercise empathy, and allow this investigation to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Mahogany, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Mahogany.
I think I'm muted. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, awesome. My name is Mahogany Sanders. I'm at 101 Cedar Street, apartment 410, Fort Lee, New Jersey, 07024. I am a parent and a resident of this town for 22 years. And I have to say, I'm actually relieved that this is finally becoming a situation, or has become a situation that has been brought to the light. I took Ms. Giacomelli to court back in 2015, maybe 2016, because she was deliberately and with all intent harassing me and totally violating my civil rights as a parent to a child in Fort Lee. My daughter was the third of my 4 children to attend Fort Lee. I have 2 older children who have gone from school 1, from K through 6, to the middle school, to the high school. And my middle girl, who's now at the middle school, when she was in school 1, I was deeply humiliated and utterly embarrassed and disrespected by Miss Rosemary Giacomelli. And because no one on the board would do anything about this woman and her outrageous display of racism and bigotry, I had to go and I had to file a report of harassment. And because the judge in the municipal court wouldn't even hear my case, I had to go to the Supreme Court in Hackensack. I am not afraid. I am not afraid because I have rights. I am not afraid because I am a woman of color, a woman whose ancestors built this land, and I have a right to not be afraid. I'm not afraid because I truly believe in the Most High God, that he will cover me and keep me with his angels at all times. And so with that said, I encourage those of you who feel afraid, let your fears go and trust God and let the system work the process. I took Ms. Giacomelli to court, to the Supreme Court, and the judge, with no prejudice, found probable cause on my behalf. I'm sorry to say this because I truly do appreciate our police department, but I was misled by one of the detectives, and I was told that of the many, many harassments, I was only able to report 1 because the others had fallen out of a statute of limitation. And so with that said, my case was heard. However, it was dismissed because of a lack of evidence, meaning I was only able to speak on 1 incident because the police had me believe I could only report 1 incident. But that does not erase the fact that this woman was brought to judge. She was brought before a superior court in Hackensack, New Jersey, Bergen County, and a judge saw fit. He saw fit to move forward with probable cause. Probable cause was shown. He saw fit to move forward with the trial. And with that said, I do believe that our system will work in due time. And I put my trust in God, not in man, because all of us are fallible. All of us have flaws. But I am urging you, please. What hurts me the most is that when this Black woman needed your help, Board of Ed, Miss Taylor, Mr. Rhoda, you guys were there. You knew what this woman was doing, how she was utterly disrespecting my rights, calling the police on me for no reason, calling the police, citing that I was a disorderly conduct, when all I was doing was waiting to give my daughter her asthma pump, calling the police and stating that I was trespassing, when all I was doing was waiting for her report card, which Ms. Giacomelli held hostage because she didn't want to release my daughter to me. I have to state that I am an educated woman. I have a master's degree in special ed, and I have a master's degree in administration education. And with that, I understand. I had great professors, and I understood from my law professor and from my special ed professors, principals or leaders of buildings or of districts, please do not get into business that is not your business. Your business is to run the building or to run the district. Your business is not to withhold the child from any parent unless you have documentation from a court. Ms. Giacomelli doesn't care about the judicial system. She doesn't care about the law. Obviously not in Fort Lee, because somewhere along the line, somebody was doing what she said do instead of upholding the law. And Miss Rosemary Giacomelli is not the law. I apologize if I come off with a sense of aggression or aggressively. I'm not. I'm assertive. And unfortunately, being assertive and an African-American woman sometimes comes off as the wrong thing or wrong way of being. But I am so happy that this misfortunate situation to the Korean community had to happen. But I'm also sad that it took for it to happen to this community, for someone to finally take a look at this woman. She should have been looked at when she utterly disrespected myself and my daughter. But you guys didn't see fit. But see, what I'm believing now, like I said, as I presented my scholarships at the high school for the community service and scholarship award dinner, I really believe that a change is coming. I really do believe that possibility is in front of us, possibility to minimize the racist intents and the racial situations that have taken place in this town. I don't think we can ever erase racism because people are going to always think they are better than the next. However, I do think that we can raise our children in this town of Fort Lee to represent us as our households, as our community, to show other communities what it could look like living together in harmony, respecting one another's differences, respecting the things that we have in common, but that we can make it work. I'm just sad that it took a specific group of people to be offended for someone to finally take a look at affirmative action. I'm blown away. I really am. And at the same time, I am happy, glad that things will finally be looked into and the possibility of justice for my daughter and myself, who were just humiliated for no reason for at least 2 years straight. Miss Giacomelli, I don't know what your situation is, but a little bit of humble pie goes a long, long way. I must state that I personally have had my bumping of the heads with Miss Tanya Breyer, but I gotta tell you, when push came to shove, Tanya showed to me her true heart, that she is a woman of compassion and that she is a woman who does believe there is a higher being than she. And with that belief, she watches her step. And so I am aware of the allegations that are made against Tanya. I'm not sure if I believe it. I do understand as a teacher and as a daughter of a principal, I understand that sometimes people feel they gotta say yes, yes, yes to the principal, especially if they're a bully like Giacomelli. But I believe Tanya also has her own mind and her own heart. And that's why I believe she was great for the board, because we need people who are willing to stand up to bullies. I teach my children every day, never be a bystander, never be an audience for a bully. That's how you make them stronger. And Ms. Giacomelli has had an audience. She has had supporters. She has had bystanders for over 30 years. And I believe the buck needs to stop now. Not just because Floyd lost his life, not because of the many, many Black Americans who lost their lives for no reason other than the fact that they were Black, not just because of COVID, but because she's just not, in my opinion, I'm not God, I have no judgment, but in my opinion and from my experience with her, she's just not the person to run a school influencing young people. And no one should ever be afraid to speak up and report anything for fear of their child being mistreated or for them being mistreated on the streets. I get that, because I believe to an extent, no disrespect to Lieutenant Young and his crew, but I believe there are some officers who are in her back pocket. And with that said, I do understand why you may have some fears, but I urge you and I encourage you, let your fears lay to rest. Let the process do what it's supposed to do, and trust God if you know him, if you have a relationship with him. But I have no fear in my heart. I believe in this investigation to the utmost. I am already willing and able to give testimony. Okay, I will wrap it up. One moment. But I believe that this needs to happen for everyone, not just for the Korean community, but for all of the communities that are represented in Fort Lee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahogany. Kathleen, I'm promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record.
They better take.
You have 3 minutes.
We went through drama.
Kathleen?
Kathleen, I think you're still muted.
Kathleen, you're muted. Please unmute yourself and ask your word.
Is that the last raise hand?
It is not.
It is not. Okay.
Kathleen? Christina, I am promoting you to panelist. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Christina?
Hi, this is Christina Saw. I'm the parent who spoke in the last meeting. I just want to clarify a couple of things for those parents who are confused and who are still wondering about what happened. So I wasn't trying to be disrespectful when I came out and spoke last time. It was because of people like, you know, the 2-3 parents who spoke up today, or 4 parents who spoke up today. It was because of those people who wanted to speak up and they were silent. That's why I had to come to the board meeting and speak up. Otherwise, our voices weren't going to be heard. I was told by Mr. Rhoda that he's never had a complaint about Mrs. Giacomelli before, that this was the first time he's heard it. Obviously, that's not the case, right? That I'm beginning to listen to. I knew that wasn't the case because I heard from word of mouth from other parents that they also filed complaints, but nothing was done, nothing was resolved. There's a second point that I want to make. Everybody wanted to know about K-PAC and, you know, the Korean PTA. I don't belong to K-PAC. I found out about it recently. I guess upon some investigation, or, you know, just wanting to learn about what's the K-PAC thing that everybody was talking about, it's basically a chat group that we belong to, because a lot of the parents don't speak English. So what happens is one of the Victoria Kim, I guess, is the person who translates for the parents about what's going on at school. So it's not like we have the separation from the PTA versus the Korean PTA. I don't know exactly to the extent of details, but it's really information sharing from the moms who don't speak English, or working moms who don't have the, you know, have all the ins and outs of what's going on at school. So it's information sharing chatting group that we have. Thirdly, I also want to be clear that I haven't met Victoria Kim until the day of the election. So there's a lot of comments on Facebook about how disgusting I am because I came up with this conspiracy and with Victoria Kim to throw Mrs. Giacomelli out of the school system. That's not the case. I didn't know Victoria Kim until after I filed the complaint. I haven't really spoken with her. I don't know her. The first time I met with her was at the election. So I did chat with Victoria because I wanted to know information about who I could contact for assistance at school. But aside from that, Victoria Kim and I we had no conspiracy going. I filed the complaint on my own, nothing to do with the PTA election, nothing to do with Victoria. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And thank you so much for all the parents who came out and spoke, because I know that I'm not alone. All set, thank you.
Kathleen, thank you, Christina. I believe Kathleen has raised her hand again, so we will promote you, Kathleen, to panelists. Please feel free to share your video and your comment. Please unmute your microphone. You have 3 minutes. Kathleen.
Am I unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And I thank the opportunity to come to the board. I'm a paraprofessional in the Fort Lee District, and I'll be starting my 15th year on September 1st. And I just have a couple of comments to make. I was born and raised on the streets of Newark during the 1967 riots. I still go through racist remarks. Me and my brother, we were called gaucho, we were called spics, we were called spicaricans because we're Italian and Brazilian. So I know what racist is. And my comments are, if these parents felt this way of these alleged allegations against Mrs. Giacomelli, why didn't they come forward before? Why are they waiting till now? And also, aren't we innocent until proven guilty? And one more thing, it's supposed to be about the children. Well, you know what? This to me is not about the children. We're supposed to unite and work together, not pull each other apart. I thank the board for the opportunity to speak, and welcome to the interim superintendent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you, Kathleen. Christina, I'm having some trouble changing your role to attendee. So if you can do that on your side, that would be helpful. We do have another raised hand.
Okay.
Mahogany, are you needing to raise your hand?
Well, Mahogany, I gave you the floor for at least double, maybe triple the time.
I can call on her.
Mahogany, I would ask you to reach out to the Affirmative Action Officer, Jamie Murphy.
Mahogany Sanders is the only raised hand.
No other raised hands?
Correct.
Okay, could I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Well, we need to close public comment.
Yeah, a motion to close public comment, please.
Motion.
Second. Motion, Richter, second. Silver, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Is there any other, any old
Yes.
business?
I'd like to say something. First, I want to say to Tanya, it was a pleasure working with you. I'm sad my running mate and close friend is gone from the board. And I also want to state that I worked by Tanya's side for many years in the PTA, and having nothing to do with this investigation, I respect Tanya tremendously and what she's done for the children in this community. She is very loved. You are very loved by the community. And I don't want you to forget that for 1 minute. You've gone above and beyond for the children and school run, for the middle school, for the intermediate school, and I am witness to that. I just want you to know that you are loved by parents, by children, by teachers, and I can't stress that enough. And I want to thank you for all your service and all the hard work that you've done over the years, and I know it's going to continue. Unfortunately, it won't on the board, and I will miss you. And I just want to thank you and state that for the record that you are not a racist. You were never, and never in my mind did I consider you a racist, and that those allegations are absolutely, to me, unbelievable. And I just want you to understand that where I'm coming from, and apologize for sitting here last week and not standing up for you as I am new, and you know that, didn't know my place and what I could do. And I know it sounds like a cop out, but it is the truth. Thank you.
Any old business? I have a motion to adjourn.
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion to go into a private session.
Okay, people available to discuss earlier. You
I
have to
second
come
it.
back here and hopefully have public session after you go to executive session. Are you available? What is the point of the executive session?
To discuss some of the things we just heard.
So at this point, apparently we cannot discuss the executive session.
So we're
So there was a motion on the floor. We withdraw that motion? Or we-
What motion? Oh,
To go into executive.
you will withdraw your motion to go into executive session. Motion to adjourn?
motion.
Okay, motion, Morale, second, Hans Silver, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Have a good evening, everyone.